Hey guys, welcome to the maiden voyage of the CNS Companies Video Newsletter. All aboard! Woo! Alright, my name is Matt Gilpin and I'll be your host in this video newsletter, which we're going to be hosting every month. We're going to have a breakdown of what is happening in the trucking industry. Just so you know, everything we discussed today will have a more detailed article and or video linked below, so make sure to check those out if you want more detail on any of these topics. For those of you that may be new clients, CNS Companies is made up of multiple divisions focusing on DOT compliance, licensing, commercial truck insurance, CDL training, and occupational medicine. When it comes to trucking, we do it all. You can check us out at cns-companies.com to easily find out more information about each company, as well as links to each website. Today, we'll be taking a closer look at the alleged drug problem in the trucking industry, discussing some more important hours of service updates, the ELDT rule launch for new drivers, and some good tips for fleets and owner-operators who want to reduce insurance rates and secure loads. But first, let's take a look at the CVSA 2022 International Road Check happening in May, and what you need to look out for. Okay, first up, surprise, surprise, the CVSA is conducting its yearly International Road Check. This year it's being held from May 17th through the 19th. And if you haven't heard of this, you're probably living under a rock, or you're new to the trucking industry. But either way, that's okay. Don't worry, we're going to give you a quick rundown. Every year, the CVSA conducts an inspection blitz that lasts for a few days. It always hones in on one category that they want improved. This year, the focus is going to be wheel ends. Now, wheel ends support heavy loads, maintain stability and control, and are critical for braking. Braking, I think that's kind of important. Wheel ends actually account for about a quarter of vehicle out-of-service violations. So get your fleet ready for May, but just know that every day is DOT inspection day, and they will never stop, just like my ex-wife and those alimony payments. Am I right, guys? During these events, they can fine you for wheel ends and a whole list of other things. So just be smart, check your vehicles regularly, and keep up with the maintenance. Next up, those damn chickens are at it again. If you are transporting wood chips, pay attention. If not, just continue eating your eggs. The U.S. Department of Agriculture just announced that a highly pathogenic avian flu was confirmed in poultry in Kentucky and Virginia. In response, Kentucky just released a declaration of emergency for an hours of service exemption for truckers transporting wood chips used in the composting of the depopulated birds. So, truckers transporting composting materials in these areas will have a relief from the hours of service and a waiver on stopping at all weigh stations. Anyone driving under the emergency declaration must have a copy of the order in their cab. This is going to stay in effect until March 18th. Also, there are other suspected outbreaks, so keep those little chicken ears open. Well, it's about time. The DOT is finally proposing to add oral fluid testing to the list of approved DOT drug testing procedures. This is, of course, in addition to the urine drug testing. And I'm sure all of you have gone through that song and dance, super awkward, handing your urine to someone. Nobody wants to do that. I don't know about you, but I would much rather have an oral swab than giving my urine to another guy, or even worse, a woman. Okay, I don't want to hand my urine to anyone. Who would want to do that? Now, there are lots of benefits to adding this as a drug testing option. All you have to do is not do drugs. Easy, right? Check out the article below for the full story. I know, insurance, boring. But hey, it's one of the top expenses you have as a trucking company, so we think it's pretty important. The ATRI just released a report addressing rising insurance costs and its immediate and long-term effect on the trucking industry. There are a lot of stats in that report to nerd out on, if that's your thing, so we won't bore you too much. But basically, the report looks at different fleets that use 3 strategies to potentially lower insurance rates. Those strategies include decreasing insurance coverage levels, raising deductibles or self-insurance retention levels, and lastly, decreasing investments in other areas like maintenance. The last one is more of a cost-cutting strategy to offset the rising premiums. The takeaway here is that all of these strategies come at a price, leaving you exposed in a lot of ways. We see these as short-term solutions, and insurance is a long-term game. If your commercial truck insurance agent isn't telling you that, you have a huge problem and you need to call CNS Insurance. We know a thing or two about the trucking industry, how to keep your commercial truck insurance rates low, and how to build relationships to secure loads on a regular basis. We have our own Ron Haas here who will give you the lowdown. We were going to give him a call, but we know it's easier just to barge into his office. Take it away, Ron.
Yeah, hi. My name is Ron Haas, and I'm the agency director for CNS Insurance. We are a dedicated provider of insurance for the trucking industry. And today we're going to talk a little bit about how you make money in the trucking business. So whether you've been in business for some time, you're new to the business, generally the way you make money in trucking is you got to go out there and you got to get loads. And so whether those loads are dedicated runs, whether you're working a load board, or whether you're using a freight broker, is the quality of the relationship with the broker. Because if you're running independently, you're gonna make money through that broker. They're gonna assign you loads. So you have to have a really symbiotic relationship with them. And picking up loads all the time, they see the quality of your service, meaning you're getting there on time, you're not having problems, you're not hard to work with, and you're on their side, then they're gonna think of you over time. And obviously the number one thing you wanna do is get out there and make money, but you can only make money through the loads that you're driving. Be thoughtful in your planning. If you're using load boards, you can easily pick loads over a couple days and kind of fit them in like a puzzle. Like that's where planning your business really comes into play as well. Building the relationship, driving safe. Don't get yourself into trouble with high insurance costs by being the trucker who gets themselves into trouble with accidents, speeding tickets. You're running a business. So generating revenue by delivering loads is important, but you also have to manage your costs, manage your business well, and build those relationships with the brokers, and have fun out there.
All right, so you want to start a new career in trucking. That's awesome. We are proud of you, and we would love to train you to get your CDL, but it's going to be a little bit harder now. We've been talking about this frequently for nearly a year, so don't say we didn't warn you. The Entry-Level Driver Training Rule, or ELDT rule, officially went into effect on February 7th, 2022. As a new driver or entry-level CDL trainee, you now have much stricter requirements for obtaining your CDL. The rule increases the minimum training requirements for individual drivers to obtain a commercial driver's license, upgrade a CDL, obtain a passenger, school bus, or hazardous materials endorsement. We have a much more detailed video and blog linked below, so be sure to check those out. Alright, we don't mean to kill the mood, but our occupational medicine division is talking about two depressing things: accidents and drug problems. On January 4th, 2022, OSHA released a new letter of interpretation around Part 1904, clarifying what qualifies as a recordable incident when considering an employee's work commute. What does that mean? Okay, imagine this. It's a normal day, you're driving into work in your own car, and bam, you get into an accident. Or you're called in on your day off, and bam, another accident. Or your boss decides to send you to a different location, and bam, a third accident. First off, I'm sorry you wrecked your car 3 times, but you can relax, they weren't real. What you should be focused on is that in any of these 3 traumatizing but fake scenarios, OSHA says that your employer does not have to log it as a work-related incident, with the reason being that it happened during your normal commute. Normal is the key word here. OSHA says that an employee gets 1 normal commute per day. Now, some critics are saying that this new letter of interpretation causes more questions than answers, but you can be the judge. Take a look at the full article below. Okay, real quickly, we wanted to touch on the reduction in random drug testing rates for the Federal Railroad Administration. The random drug testing rate dropped from 50% to 25%. You're probably thinking, what is this guy talking about? I'm a trucker, not a trainer or railroader? Well, whatever you call them. So this is important to you because the FMCSA conducts random drug tests in the exact same way. That testing rate currently sits at 50%, but there's potential for that random drug testing rate to reduce for truckers as well. And you know what that means, less peeing in cups. Everybody wins. Speaking of drugs, did you know that there's chatter of there being a drug problem in the trucking industry? And that drug problem is causing a driver shortage? We'll tell you a little secret. We don't think so. We have our own Rob Guillory to break it down further for us. And if you know Rob, you know what he says. Drugs are bad, okay? Over to you, Mr. Mackey.
One of the theories is that this increased testing is causing there to be less drivers because they're being taken off the road. And while there has been thousands of drivers taken off the road since January of 2020, it's important to keep in mind that the drivers that are being removed for these tests are being removed because they're taking substances that are altering their performance. The transportation industry is taking a proactive step to kind of help identify these drivers and make sure that they're not out on the road potentially injuring other people. I think, like a number of things in media, there's a lot of sensationalization of, we find a topic and it's easy to exploit that topic from a number of different angles. But you can get data to do and say what you want to do depending on what you're reporting on. So it's important to not just take one aspect of the data to say, while yes, the trucking industry has a shortage, that is directly related to truck drivers being pulled off the road. So that has to do with the availability of training, the availability of the appropriate coursework, people interested in the job, but then also, yes, passing their drug test. So do I think that it is the sole purpose for the shortage? No, but I think it's important to understand that the overall impact or the overall purpose of having the drug testing is to make sure that the people operating these huge vehicles, which can create devastating injuries and crashes, it's important to make sure that those people are driving safely.
All right, last of all, what you're looking at here is the #1 trucking bottleneck in the USA. This is the I-95 in Fort Lee, New Jersey. If you would like, you can review the full ATRI report on the top 100 truck bottlenecks for 2022. I guess the only tip we have for you on this one is to stay out of New Jersey. Thanks for watching the first of many CNS video newsletters. We will also be launching a CNS podcast later this year, which will include discussions on so many important topics with guest speakers, trucker stories, and a whole list of other hilarious and interesting segments. For more information on the stories we talked about today, check out the links in the newsletter or in the video description. There are also links to all of the websites, or you can head to cns-companies.com to learn more about each division. This is Matt, signing out.